Hello. So I don't normally do this because I'm not a big reader, but I wanted to bring this up just because of the topic I'm going to be talking about, and the movie I'm going to be talking about. If you've never heard of Professor Marston, and you've never heard the story of the origins of Wonder Woman, especially with this year with her becoming kind of the biggest thing on the planet thanks to the movie, I wanted to kind of say, if you've never heard of it, I highly recommend this book. Okay, I really loved the movie I just saw, and I'm going to be talking about that. But it's always hard to tell with these biopics, how much is true and how much isn't and whatnot. And if you want a little bit more information, I highly recommend this. If you can't read it, this is The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lepore. It's a little dry in places, but it's a really good read. It gives you a lot of information. If it's a little too thick for you, do like I do. I know you can find it on iTunes and audiobook form and all that. So check that book out if you're interested and you want to learn more. So this one. This is a movie. Just due to circumstances, I could not review right when I was driving away. I had the traffic was a bit tight, and I don't like being in that area of town. So I had to kind of wait a little bit, and I'm glad I did, because if I had reviewed this movie right when I saw it, like without letting it kind of sink in a bit, a lot of my review would have consisted of me just kind of going, this is a really good movie. But it's also pretty intense. Not in like a violent or anything like that, or scary, like the way people would normally define something that, or a film or an experience that was, intense. But I mean, it really delves into people's psychological makeup. And I can tell you right now, this is... I'm racking my brain trying to come up with a film that had more complex characters than this one. The characters in this are incredibly and wonderfully complex, both psychologically, sexually, everythingly, with parts where you feel the characters are sympathetic, but other parts where you're thinking, are they taking advantage of this girl? And all of it kind of piled layer on layer on layer on layer, and it's rather amazing, but it's emotionally exhausting at the same time. So for those who don't know the story, and I want to do it justice, so I'll give you just a little bit of a background here. So for those who don't know kind of the Professor Marston and kind of his life, he's most famous, of course, for inventing the lie detector, but kind of infamous, especially at the time, because he lived very openly with his wife and his mistress and all of their children together in a polygamous relationship, which was, and not only lived quite openly, but quite unashamedly. And these two women became the basis for the creation of Wonder Woman. Aspects of both personalities. He even has a line in the film. Oh, sorry about that. Look at that. Look at that. Has a line in the film that says, the two of you together are the perfect woman. You, his wife, Elizabeth, very stern, very powerful, career-oriented, very strong. And the mistress, Olive, softer, a little bit more caring, a little bit more open emotionally. Says the two of you together make the perfect woman. And just how all this came together. What didn't come out in those early reports is that not only was Marston having sex with both women, but the women were in a romantic relationship as well, open with him. And this is an incredibly, again, I keep using the word complex. I need to get a thesaurus. Relationship between all of them and how they got together, how they first opened up to each other, and how they lived their lives after it. This film does a lot of things incredibly well in ways that I don't think they've ever been done previously, at least not in a movie I've seen. Let me say this. One of the reasons I really wanted to see this movie when I first saw the trailer for it months ago on IMDb, and I was like, yes, is because I've always really been fascinated by the creation of Wonder Woman. Because unlike all of the other kind of big superheroes and their creators, this is the only one where you feel like the creator really put himself and his life and his experiences into the story. This book goes into how life events end up in some of the early Wonder Woman books. You think about, Batman. It's always said it's created by Bob Kane. Well, what does Batman tell us about Bob Kane? We know that pretty much all of the Marvel characters were created by Stan Lee. Well, great, but what does that really tell us about him? This character, is a byproduct of the man who created her, and he was a fascinating person. Not only, living in a polygamous relationship, not only into some interesting things, romantically, but a adamant proponent of women's rights and the equalist movements. So there is a lot of things going on in this guy's mind and in the mind of the two women. And this film really does a great job of showcasing all of that. The other thing I gotta say, and I'm sorry if this gets a little blue, I don't mean it to, but I think you got if you're talking about this film, you got to talk about some of the sexual aspects. And one of the things that Wonder Woman came under scrutiny for in the early years is there was a lot of bondage imagery and a lot of domination and whatnot, which Marston and his wife and mistress were into and all that. What I liked about this movie is that usually when tastes like that are portrayed in films, it's in something like, I'm sorry, we're getting a glare there. This is what happens when you film during the day. But anyway, normally when something like that is portrayed in film, it takes the 50 Shades of Grey path. We're saying that the people involved in this are in some way, shape, or form perverted, or they're twisted, they had abusive childhoods, they're all just sick. It really takes that stance on it, and I don't think that is a fair assessment. I'm sure it's true for some people who are into it, just like it's true for people who are into just about anything. But this film never once comes down on the side of these people are in some way damaged or they're working through some kind of trauma. It's like, no, these are intellectuals. These are, for not, I don't want to say quote unquote normal people, because the film, one of the big thesis statements of the film is that they were valiantly fighting against what was seen as normal at the time. So I don't want to say, these were normal people. These were not. It's kind of like saying everybody who sees a UFO is some hick, well, they done took me up in the spaceship. There's a saying that not just, the people who are into this are not necessarily evil or broken human beings. And out of this comes, remarkably, one of the most interesting love stories I've ever seen. Not just for the year, but like ever. I have never seen a three-way love story And they do it. And it works. I mean, it has some bumps in the road, especially in the early parts of the film where Marston and his wife Elizabeth first meet Olive. And you really do get the impression there that things are a little creepy. That, you know, he's a professor lusting after one of his students. And his wife is just kind of using her emotions to kind of get back at him, kind of thing. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, I can't even tell you what part of the film it happens, but it blossoms into this genuine love story between the three of them. That is, I mean, that's just amazing. Not so much amazing that it happened in real life, because I know people who are in relationships such as that, and they're very happy, and it seems weird to me, but who the hell am I to tell them what makes them happy? But I've never seen it done in a movie, and done well. You know? It's the first time the love triangle is actually, an excellent storytelling device. And I think it handles all of it very, very well. They're with a story like this, and with elements in it like there are, it'd be very easy for this to degenerate into something sleazy very, very quickly. It'd be so easy. But the director does just a fantastic job. That the love scenes are passionate, and dare I say, I'm not trying to make people uncomfortable here, but erotic in a way that you wouldn't have thought, that in the hands of a lesser director, scenes of this kind of subject matter would be. And it's all done very beautifully, showing that this is done between three people who love each other and trust each other. And that just frickin' blows my mind. I left the movie just kind of going, but not in a bad way, not in a what the hell did I just look at kind of thing, but in a, it was such a sensory overload. And it's also fascinating to go and see kind of how all of this, again, led to the creation of Wonder Woman, of the most popular and important female superhero ever. Because again, these are not things, when you hear them on the surface, these are not things that you think, Wonder Woman, that character that all the little girls are dressing up as, this is where she came from. But when you kind of see it played out, you're like, I get it. I get where it all came from. I get where the characters and everything came from. It's incredibly well done. Acting across the board, brilliant acting. You're gonna have to forgive me, because again, part of the problem with doing these is I don't really research names. And the guy playing Professor Marsden is the same guy who played Gaston in the live-action Beauty and the Beast. He played, he was in the Hobbit movies. I don't know his name. I always call him old Orlando Bloom, because he looks like a bit of an older Orlando Bloom to me. But this is the first real movie I've seen him in where I actually see him act, and damnation, he's really good. And the two women, I really want to research them and find out what they've done, what else they have been in, because they gave a hell of a performance. That's Best Actress of the Year stuff that those two were doing up there, because they were playing so many emotions. And there are some amazing moments just between the two of them, between the two women, that are all done silently, in a look, in the way they react to something. The first time they try something. And to watch Elizabeth, the wife, and Olive, the mistress, the way they react to it, and the way they react to one another, and the looks that exchange between them. You know exactly what they are thinking in those moments. and you go, oh my God, you know, it's like a dialogue being done but no talking. I think that is some of the best acting ever is when characters can convey things with just a look, and it's a long scene with just the two of them kind of looking at each other and reacting to what the other one is doing, and it's so superb. It's like, man, both of them deserve Oscar nods for this, in my opinion. I think they did phenomenal work with subject matter, again, and characters that are so emotionally complex. You know, again, and I keep harping on that, but I'm harping on it because it would have been so easy to just make these people caricatures. It would have been so easy. You know, we read about stuff like this, you hear about it, and your mind immediately assigns certain character traits to people like that, or what we think people like that are like. And to paint it all in such an even-handed way, and doing it, and I want to stress this too, it doesn't just make them all saints. It shows that they're not always good people. It shows that they're not always, you know, so altruistic. You know, it shows when they're kind of being selfish, or when, you know, the wife is being a bitch, or when the other one's just being, or when Olive is just being too submissive when she's not supposed to be. You know, it's man, yeah, it's a tour de force. It's also wonderful, kind of like with Bill Pullman in Battle of the Sexes. It was nice to see Oliver Platt in a small supporting role in this. I love Oliver Platt. He's an amazing character actor, and you don't see him much anymore. He has a very small role in this as the publisher of what would eventually become DC Comics. And he's very, you know, it's just good to see him. There's nothing really, you know, the part is too small to really go, oh, he was brilliant, but it's like, it's just neat to go, oh, look, you know, it's Oliver Platt, you know. Yeah. So this is one that I've been excited to see for a long time. It's one that I've been waiting for. I've been looking for when it was coming out, because again, I've seen next to no advertising for it. I wouldn't doubt that in a way. I don't think they did anything on purpose, but I wouldn't doubt that maybe that's due to maybe DC not really wanting this. I mean, I don't think they would try to cover it up, but I can definitely see, I mean, Wonder Woman again right now is like, it's the biggest comic book movie of the year. You know, it's gotten so much praise and everything from everybody but me, apparently. That to kind of bring out this rated R movie about the rather sordid details of how she came into being, I don't think that's the image you want to present. But, and I don't do this often, but I'm going to do it right now because I think I need to say this. You need to see this movie. All right? Go find this movie. You're going to have to look for it. If you're here in Tennessee, it's at Studio on the Square. And I'm going to, you know, in a way, I'll be honest, it's a thing that kind of gets me mad. You know, I was kind of mad in the theater when there were like 5 of us there. Admittingly, it was like the first screening on a Friday, so I get that, you know, I'm on fall break, not everybody is, so I get that. But I was kind of mad to see just how few people in there. It's like, this is a movie people need to frickin' see. And I'm going to be blunt here, you know, so pardon me if I'm offensive, but if you're one of the many liberals that I've got on my Facebook who I see posting all this, that, and the other thing, especially if you're all up in arms with LGBTQ stuff and whatnot, then you owe it to yourself to go see this frickin' movie. This movie makes your argument for you. Okay? In my opinion, in the opinion of a heterosexual white male. You know, I don't know, maybe you'll see it and go, what's he talking about? But if you're a fan of Wonder Woman, an adult fan of Wonder Woman, don't take the kids to see this. If you're an adult fan of Wonder Woman, if you're one of these people who's always on your Facebook with the, you know, equal rights for this, that, and the other thing, folks, this is the movie that was made for you. Okay? You are the audience. And you need to go see this. Much like when they opened Wonder Woman, they had all female screenings for it. You need to organize all whatever screenings for this, because it is your movie. It is telling your story and telling it, at least in my opinion, in the best possible light it could be shown in. Okay? Go see this effing movie. All right? I cannot think, as I'm sitting here, and this is several minutes later, or almost an hour later, and usually, when things have a way of fermenting for a little bit when you do that, but I cannot think of anything I didn't like about this movie. The only thing I can say I didn't like about the movie is kind of like their finest. The only thing I can say I didn't like was the title. I think the title is a little clunky. I don't know what I would have called it, instead of, maybe I'd named it after the book, the secret origins of Wonder Woman, or the secret life or the secret history of Wonder Woman, or something like that. Because the name's not that catchy. The name sounds like a Vegas review or something. But aside from that, I gotta tell you, this movie is pretty freaking phenomenal. And again, just kind of thinking about it, I don't think it's got enough in it, at least for me, to knock their finest off the pedestal I kind of put it on since I saw that one some months ago. But I can definitely tell you this is going to find its way onto best of the year list. All right, so do yourselves a favor, go see it. Go see it and experience it. So that's all for me. This is probably the end of fall break at the movies. I don't know. I may have some time Sunday to go see something. I might. I don't know yet. I'm kind of shaky on it because I have to get ready to go back to work on Monday. But if this is the last one for fall break at the movies, it's been a good one. I've seen some pretty good films and My Little Pony. So, thank you all for watching. I hope everyone has a safe week. And until next time, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.